So you have got a very interesting, eclectic background, especially with your role with IAG in the respect of why you're here. Explain to everyone why you're here, what you do.
I can. Okay, so I work for the Country Trust, who are a charity who identify primary schools across the UK who have a high percentage of children who are eligible for free school meals. And we take them into the countryside and introduce them to the world of agriculture and food production.
So I think your role is so important because, as per the NFU stats from 2-3 years ago, 6 out of 10 kids don't know where fresh produce comes from.
At least 6 out of 10.
Okay. So adopting you, get involved with you and your colleagues. How can we make that better?
Okay, so the Country Trust is there to bring children out of their very narrow worlds that have become more narrow since COVID, and we give them access to the countryside. It's difficult to access the countryside if your parents are from a very low income background, but we've done a lot of research that when children are shown natural produce, it ignites their curiosity. It makes children who aren't confident in communicating more so, and it's vital for food security in the future, for, as Mark was saying, nutritional security in the future, that millions of children understand.
Totally. I'm going to give you one of my best examples. It's a long story, but long story short, I did a school presentation. I was handing out pink lady apples, and I handed out this pink lady apple to every kid. And this kid wouldn't take, this lovely child wouldn't take this apple from me.
No.
And we put him to one side. And afterwards, I asked the teacher to bring the kid over to me. It turns out this 10-year-old had never eaten an apple before.
Oh no!
So I sliced open this pink lady apple and got him to eat a bit, and he really loved it. He then went home. He told his mum, and his mum was mortified by this. In the meantime, we managed to find out who the mum was, and we sent her a carton load of apples. And the whole family had never eaten apples before, but now they're eating apples because they taste.
You totally hit the nail on the head. But the problem that we have now, and the fuel crisis and transportation and the decimation of school trips, children's understanding of natural produce is lessening and worsening and lessening and worsening. And we've got a poverty crisis, and I'm interested in IAG because the idea of using disused urban spaces to bring fresh produce near to a food bank where we can educate children and who can show their older generations at home how to eat and use fresh produce. Well, I hope in time save the NHS because we've got obesity crisis, we've got a problem in our healthcare, but also with salads and this sort of produce, you don't need to turn the oven on to eat. IAG, I think, the scope for the health, the economy of the nation is so broad.
And I'm smiling because there's a similar business charity to you in America that I'm aware of. And they're really advocating urban farming because it excites the kids and the family. The kids, either at school or immediately after school, they want to see how the produce is getting on. So they can run into. So they've repurposed car parking spaces, multi-story car parks that aren't being used on that urban environment. So you're intrigued by IAG to see whether you could bring them into schools or urban areas, bought them into food banks. It's limitless.
I would like to expose children through IAG the possibility of urban farming to improve their health and long-term aspirations of their own, and also show them different career paths, different ways of eating, and use the children as an educational conduit to their parents and their grandparents. And I think it's very important work.
Victoria, how can we find out more about you?
Okay, so our website is thecountrytrust.org.uk. We're a small Essex-based charity. We've been running since 1978, and we organise bespoke, tailor-made school trips for classes of up to 30 out onto currently rural, working authentic farms to ignite the children's curiosity and confidence and make connections. But of course, so many of our children come from urban settings we would love to work with IAG.
So being blunt, you'd love to have money in the form of donations, but you'd also like to have more farmers?
We want to broaden awareness, but quite frankly, guys, with the cost of fuel, I need to raise funds because the logistics of getting urban children to rural farms is now prohibitive. And that is at the same time as schools are slashing the budgets for off-site educational trips because they're heating the schools and they're paying the teachers. I need to raise funds all over the UK, but the impact is tangible. We measure it, we can report it, we can show it to you.
Because if we can deploy the likes of yourself and your colleagues, we can stop the obesity crisis and the tsunami of all of that within the NHS. So that's why your work.
You can't be educated if you don't feel well, if you're lethargic, if you're hypoglycemic, if you're depressed, if you're stressed out. Okay, so although we're taking children onto farms, we're doing so much more than teaching them about agriculture. We're decompressing them from the lockdown. We're giving them opportunities to meet inspirational people that they wouldn't encounter in their normal lives, and we're showing them that you can have careers and build a lifestyle outside of the postcode you were born and bred in. And IAG, the potential is everywhere, but opportunity isn't. There are brilliant kids in urban settings that are desperate to be shown who they could be, what they could be. To meet somebody like Jazz could change a child's life. That's really true. And a lot of the farmers we introduce them to, a lad will go away from there thinking, that's what I want to do. He'll work hard at school, he'll aim to go to an agricultural college, science, okay? So when you see this, you say to a child, you just need to engage with your science. But you can't engage at school if you're that poor. And that's why we need to fundraise.
Everyone support Victoria. Victoria,
thank you, the Country Trust.
Before we wrap up, what's your favourite fresh produce?
My favourite fresh produce, kale and spinach.
Oh,
and I eat spinach raw with hummus.
Victoria, well done, you're brilliant.
Thank you so much.